Almost exactly what I was talking about yesterday. It's going to be a great example, and I'm actually glad I didn't get to it yesterday. I meant to get to it yesterday, but I didn't get to it yesterday, so I'm glad, and it worked out. It almost always does work out for the best, even when I have a mental lapse. Greetings, folks. Great to have you. This is the most listened to radio talk show in the country, El Rushbo at EIBnet. So, Coco, let me know if you need the link. I've been swamped here. I'll get the link up to you during the break if you have trouble locating it, but you shouldn't. It should be found in the commentary search. Now, what I was talking about, by the way, phone number 800-282-2882. Yesterday on this program, we had a call from a woman that launched me into essentially a 1-hour series of monologues and explanations. And the woman simply was expressing her frustration with how conservatives and Republicans are lied about in the media and what she wants to see done about it. And I explained to her why she doesn't see what she wants and why, if she did, it wouldn't work. And I got a little personal and explained my learning curve in all of this starting 26 years ago. Well, as part of yesterday's audio soundbite roster, I had 3 soundbites of Rand Paul on the Today Show with Savannah Guthrie. And I had them ready to go, and I kept moving them. I kept intending to get to them at some point, and then the show ended, and I never got to them. Well, it turns out they're going to work perfectly today with further developments that have happened, and it dovetails perfectly with that which I was discussing and explaining yesterday. Okay, so Rand Paul goes on the Today Show yesterday. He's interviewed by Savannah Guthrie, who is considered this harmless female anchor at the Today Show, when she is every bit the partisan firebrand that anybody else on the left is. She's the NBC White House correspondent. She's been there, or has been. She had her own show on PMSNBC with F. Chuck Todd. She's radical, and like they all are. I mean, my point is, there's nothing in the middle about her. There's nothing moderate. There's nothing objective or any of that. She is a left-wing journalist on NBC. Okay, so Rand Paul does battle with her and doesn't accept some of her premises, some of her questions, and talks over her and so forth. This has caused a controversial reaction. And I was watching Fox News today. I don't want to mention any names here, because all it means is the people I name get hold of me and say, no, you misunderstood, when I didn't. So I'm not going to mention the names, but there are 2 guests on there, one conservative, one liberal. The conservative guest said, well, you got to look at this 2 ways. What Rand Paul did with Savannah Guthrie on Today's Show, for the base, they love it. That's exactly what they want to see. The base wants to see these candidates fire back. Media's unfair. Media's biased. But the rest of the country doesn't like it. The rest of the country wants to see somebody of presidential temperament that doesn't let the press rattle them. And in that sense, Rand Paul did not help himself. And they cut to the Democrat strategist who said, you kidding me? The Today Show? A font of radical leftism? Give me a break. It's bagels and cream cheese and coffee. There's nothing radical about it. Rand Paul really hurt himself. Everybody I've spoken to personally think Rand Paul scored again. You listen to these inside the Beltway experts, they think he blew it. Let's go to the audio sound bites. And yeah. We'll get to the he really rammed it down somebody's throat on abortion. I don't mean that to sound literal there, but that's coming up. But this is yesterday on the Today Show. And Savannah Guthrie says, you are now officially a candidate for president. Let me ask you about the framework deal with Iran and whether or not you support it. If it were written in black and white exactly as President Obama described it and Iranians agreed to it exactly as it's been described, is it a good deal and would you support it?
That's part of the problem. The Iranian foreign minister immediately came out writing in English saying that it meant something completely different than what President Obama said.
Right, but let's take that issue off the table.
Let me answer the question. The sincerity of the Iranians does make a big difference. And if they're immediately saying that the agreement doesn't mean what President Obama says, that is a big problem.
Okay, now, the way this dovetails with what I was telling you yesterday is that there's no way Rand Paul is going to convince her of anything. There's no way when this is over that Savannah Guthrie is going to say, you know what, I've been wrong about this guy. You know what, this guy's making a lot of... There's no way that's going to happen. There's nothing he could do other than announce he's changing to the Democrat Party to gain her favor. Other than that, this is a wasted... If the objective here is to try to get the media to understand Rand Paul and what he really means and what he's really saying, that isn't going to happen here. Do not doubt me. She doesn't care what Rand Paul really thinks. All she cares about is how she can make him look. And how he looks to her is how any conservative or presidential Republican candidate looks. They've got to be taken out. They have to be discredited. They have to be damaged in some way. That's all that's happening here. I mean, look, the press has been asleep for 6.5 years. All of a sudden now we got Republicans who want to be president and they wake up and they start doing their jobs. This is the kind of stuff they should have been doing with Obama for 6.5 years. They don't even get close to it. Now we got potential Republican presidential nominees, and now they're going to treat them as suspects. But I'm telling you, the point is, no matter what Rand Paul says, no matter how nice he is, no matter how brilliant, no matter how persuasive, he's not going to change what she thinks at all. And that's not even the mission. If he thinks that he's going on here, or if anybody thinks that these people in the media can be awakened, have their minds get right, and new perspectives realized, that's not why they even want him there. They want him there to expose him. They want him there so that Harry Reid can come out in a couple of weeks and say, you know what? I got a friend that told me that Rand Paul hadn't paid his income tax since he gave birth to his first daughter. Or whatever. That's all they want to do. Okay, so here you heard the first bite. He stands in there, says, let me finish. Then it continued, giving her a journalism lesson for all it was worth.
You once said Iran was not a threat. Now you say it is. You once proposed ending foreign aid to Israel. You now support it, at least for the time being. And you once offered to drastically cut... Once drastically wanted to cut defense spending, and now you want to increase it 16%. So I just wonder if you've mellowed out.
Why don't Leah let me explain instead of talking over me, okay? Before we go through a litany of things you say I've changed on, why don't you ask me a question? Have I changed my opinion on? That would be sort of a better way to approach an interview.
Okay.
So you see, it's classic here, folks. There she goes. You used to think this. You know how many times she could say that about Obama? You used to be against gay marriage. Now you're for it. Have you kind of mellowed? Never ask Obama that kind of question or even pose it in that way. You used to be this, now you're this. You used to be this, now you're this. You used to say that, now you're saying this. You used to be this, now you're... What do you say? What do you say? There's no way, folks. I'm telling you, don't come out of this. This is why I banned playing MSNBC sound bites on this program. In no sense. I may be a presidential candidate that has to do this. You know, I don't think they do anymore, but they do. Anyway, here's the next one, and the final exchange that we have that illustrates the point, and then... Remember now, this created a bunch of continued conversation, which we will also analyze.
Let's start out with regard to foreign aid. If we are going to try to eliminate or reduce foreign aid, why don't we start with the countries that hate us, that burn our flag? Right. And so I haven't proposed removing aid from Israel, but I still agree with my original precept. Let me answer the question. I agree with my original statement from years ago that ultimately all nations should be free of foreign aid, but my opinion is not any different than Netanyahu's opinion.
Do you still think Iran is not a threat, as you said in 2007?
2007 was a long time ago, and events do change.
Now, after all this, F. Chuck Todd came out and ripped him for being mean to the girl. He did. As though Savannah Guthrie is this delicate little flower, unable to protect herself against this mean-spiritedness. Now, let me just tell you again here, Savannah Guthrie is not a wallflower. Savannah Guthrie is married, newly married with a new baby. Had to get that done, get it out of the way before the biological time bomb went off. She got that done. She said Today Show she married a big-time active Democrat consultant, a campaign consultant. She's not a wallflower. She's not defenseless. She's not helpless. She's not soft and cuddly, and so she is a Democrat left-wing activist disguised as a journalist like they all are. What is happening here? And I want, if any of you people listening to me have anything to do with any of these so to date announced Republican candidates, presidential hopefuls. I want you to listen to this, because what happened here with Rand Paul and what's going to happen to you, this is the beginning of the process of changing from race wars to gender wars. This is happening to set up Hillary Clinton, with the media protecting her. With Obama, first African-American president, can't criticize, can't get close to it because it's racist to do so. Rand Paul standing up for himself on the Today Show with Savannah Guthrie, and apparently, not being docile and not being cordial and sitting there and accepting whatever false premise she puts at him. Instead, he fought back. This is now being set up as Rand Paul is representative of the Republicans who hate and do not respect women. This is the beginning of the process whereby the Democrats and the drive-by media switch from the race wars that have been going on to the gender wars. And it's an attempt in a mild way, maybe not so mild, to keep alive, or maybe revive would be the word, the so-called Republican war on women. Now, the fact is, there is no gender war. There never was a war on women. It doesn't exist. The Republican Party does not hate women. It's absolutely asinine, but that's what they are now trying to set up, and that is for the benefit of Hillary Clinton. They want to have husbands fighting wives by the end of all of this. Somewhere in the upper levels of the Democrat regime, the Democrat Party, the message has gone out. Race is out and gender is in, because Hillary is a white woman. And that's what this really is. All when F. Chuck Todd, first thing he did was come to her defense. A poor defenseless woman, look whatever. Rand Paul, I don't think that he's as big as she is. Savannah Guthrie's like 5'10" or 5'11". I don't know how tall Rand Paul is, but the idea that he's in there beating up on the girl on the Today Show, that's what they want you to believe in. Here comes F. Chuck Todd, right on cue, defending her as a woman under siege, a woman under attack, and how unmanly it was, how unnecessary it was. These guys have the audacity to tell us that they are not biased, that they are not actively engaged in the outcome of events. They insult our intelligence every time they deny who they really are. And it wasn't just F. Chuck Todd. Also riding to the rescue was none other than Wolf Blitzer. Last night on the Situation Room, Rand Paul was over there talking to Wolf Blitzer. And here we go with the war on women narrative, and Republicans hate women.
The Washington Post has a headline saying Rand Paul's problem with female interviewers just cropped up again. I want you to respond to this suggestion that you interrupt your female interviewers, that you're not polite to them.
I think I've been universally short-tempered and testy with both male and female reporters. I'll own up to that. And it's hard sometimes. I do think that interviews should be questions and not necessarily editorializing. I should have more patience, but I think I'm pretty equal opportunity. If I get annoyed, I was annoyed with a male reporter this morning, so I will have to get better at holding my tongue and holding my temper, but I think it's pretty equal opportunity, not directed towards, one male or female.
All right, now, what? So, accept the premise in the Wolf Blitzer question and then answer it. That I just don't understand it. It is absurd. We're all adults here. The Washington Post has a headline saying Rand Paul's problem with female interviewers just cropped up again. I want you to respond to this suggestion that you interrupt your female. What in the world? Is this the 6th grade and we're trying to teach manners? So you see, it's clear as a bell what's happening here. So Rand Paul stands up for himself on the Today Show. Rand Paul refuses to accept the premise, exactly what people in the audience here say they want these guys to do, and look what's happening. The media is circling the wagons to defend this poor, defenseless, attacked Savannah Guthrie. And now presenting the entire idea that Rand Paul hates women. And he really doesn't like female news babes. He interrupts them, and he's disrespectful. And there you go. Welcome back, Republican war on women. And Rand Paul ends up, you know what? You're right. I got to do a better job. I'm equal opportunity when it comes to my combativeness with the media, and I have to do a better job of letting that be known. This, to me, would have been, if I'd put myself in a situation, I wouldn't have accepted the premise of Wolf Blitzer's question. I wouldn't have gone there. I would have blown the Washington Post out of the water, and I would have attempted to humiliate them for not being serious. And I might have thrown in something, is this why you people don't have any audience over here? I am running for president of the United States, and you want to talk to me about how I interact with members of the media who are attacking me? That's what I would. But I wouldn't go in the first place. This is why I do not accept these invitations that come my way. There's just nothing to be gained by. Let's see. Look at that was 16. Let's just let's keep going. Actually, no. Grab 18 and 19 first here, because this Megyn Kelly last night on her show, The Kelly File. Rand Paul is there, and they're discussing how he's dealing with the media, and in particular how he dealt with Savannah Guthrie, the poor, defenseless, angelic, flowery Savannah Guthrie. Mean, brutish, predatory Rand Paul, straight from his presidential announcement. Couldn't wait to come attack poor Savannah. So now they're talking, and then if Chuck Todd comes out, defends her honor, and Wolf blitzed, do you hate women? Do you have a problem with female news? So it's over to the Kelly File, and here's how it went there.
Chuck Todd came out and said you have to be careful because you attacked two prominent female interviewers. The Guardian said you were condescending to female reporters, and I, as a female reporter, will say to Chuck Todd in The Guardian, we don't need your help. Savannah Guthrie doesn't need your help. Kelly Evans doesn't need your help. And you are entitled to push back on the interviewer just as much as you would if it were a man. So these male commentators can butt out. We can give as good as we get.
There you have it. That's why they hate Fox, by the way. So here's Megyn Kelly, who, by the way, well, this is everything she says here is true. You do not want to tussle with her if you in any way are on the defensive about something. If you've done something wrong, you do not want to get near it. She doesn't care whether you're male, female, from Mars, Republican, Democrat. It doesn't matter. And that's what she's saying here. We can handle it. We can take it. We don't need all of these male liberals defending us. We can take it and do it and defend ourselves. We don't even need to be defended, period. But then she does want Rand Paul to answer for being thin-skinned. She said, the thin-skinned question, whether it's a female or a male reporter, that one I say is fair. The one she asked you, what do you think about that, Mr. Paul?
I think it is. And I mean, to say anything, can I do better? Yes. Am I sometimes thin-skinned? Yes. But am I equal opportunity? I mean, I had a tiff with a male reporter today, so it has nothing to do with sexuality. When I think of doing an interview with you, I don't think whether you're man or woman. I think of an intelligent person that's going to ask me questions.
Well, I don't know how you do an interview with Megyn Kelly and not know she's a woman, but there's all kinds of people. Okay, now to illustrate my example, here's what Rand Paul did. And look, I don't want anybody to think that this is the criticism is rooted in. I'm not saying he's not qualified to run. I'm not even commenting on his candidacy here. So don't anybody infer anything from what I say, because I'm not implying anything. I just want to address technique that people use dealing with the drive-by media. They put forth a premise that he's mean to women. They put forth a premise he's unfair, biased against women. Instead of blowing it out of the park, he accepts it and then says, "No, but I'm equal opportunity. You know, I interrupt both." Sometimes I've got to do better. I have to do better. I don't know how I don't know how that helps. He's off message with it. He's not going, because you see, Savannah Guthrie's feelings weren't hurt. She was not offended as a woman. She's looking at this as, how can I take this guy off message? How can I get this guy off the rails? How can I get this guy to look unpresidential? How can I, and throw this stuff out there? And after the interview, the judgment is mission accomplished or not. It's not, oh my God, you hurt my feelings. You see what he did to me? He interrupted me. That doesn't even factor in. So the idea that, Rand says, I can do better. I can do better. There's no reason to say that, because it's not going to change the media's reporting on him at all. They're not going to, Rand Paul admitted today that he has sometimes been unfair to women and maybe even men, and promises to do better as the campaign rolls on. It's not how it works. But again, look, everybody can do this their own way and can tell me I'm full of it. I'm just attempting to build on real-life experiences to give you examples of that which I was speaking about yesterday in terms of, okay, how do we beat these people back? How do we overcome the built-in bias and unfairness and whatever else you want to say exists, the drive-by media against Republicans? And all I'm saying is you're not going to beat that back by agreeing with them. You're not going to get that back by telling them that they're wrong in how they're looking at you. No, you don't understand me. I'm a nice guy. I love women just as much as I love men. I don't have any problem with reporters. Sometimes I lose my temper, but that may be effective with some voters, I don't know. But it's not going to change the media perception, because the media is not there to like Rand Paul. The media is there to humiliate him. The media is there to take him out, just as they are with any other Republican candidate. If that remains a controversial statement, then we have a long way to go, because to me, there's no doubt about it. Now, let's see. Rand Paul, let's go to something else here that's really, really attaboy positive kind of stuff. And none of this is a criticism. I want to be very, very clear again. I'm not being I'm critical. I'm just explaining, giving examples of what I was talking about yesterday and today about this challenge of overcoming the media. I think Rand Paul's doing great. You look at the polling data out there. He is just blooming in Colorado and Iowa and Virginia. There's a Quinnipiac poll out there, and Hillary Clinton, the poll says, is wilting. Hillary is fading away. Left-wing columnists at the Politico are suggesting her campaign's already fatally damaged. She may as well not even get in the race. It's tough when you think you're a fait accompli and something is just a matter of time and it's automatically going to happen. The first thing that comes along and upsets that, people don't know how to deal with it. That's where the Democrats are. Okay, back to the Situation Room. CNN. Wolf Blitzer talking with Rand Paul about his stance on abortion. And Wolf Blitzer said, you were questioned about your stance on abortion rights for women, and you said something along the lines, well, ask Debbie Blabbermouth Schultz. You said, ask Debbie Blabbermouth Schultz if it's okay to kill a 7-pound baby in a uterus. She did respond to what you said. She put out a statement saying, here's an answer. I support letting women and their doctors make this decision without government getting involved, period, end of story. And I would appreciate it if you could respond without shushing me. That's what she said. Debbie Blabbermouth Schultz. See how it builds on? Savannah Guthrie, poor, defenseless, caring, compassionate, info babe of NBC News, just doing your job. Here came Rand Paul, and he was mean, and he talked all over, interrupted her. And now, chairman of the Democratic National Committee. Yeah, okay, here's what I said to him, if I can get a word edgeways then. So now that meme, that narrative is set. And there's nothing he's going to be able to do to get rid of it. But anyway, here's his answer to the question.
Her answer is yes, that she's okay with killing a 7-pound baby. But the interesting thing is, I understand our country's polarized on the issue and not everybody agrees on the issue. But even most of my friends who are pro-choice will tell me they're not okay with 7 and 8 and 9-pound abortions. Debbie's position, which I guess is the Democrat Party position, that an abortion all the way up until the day of birth would be fine, I think really most pro-choice people would be a little uncomfortable with that. So I don't know. I really think that she's got some explaining to do.
Most pro-choice people would not be uncomfortable with that. That's why they are pro-choice. Abortion first, last, and always. Any abortion that does not happen is a potential chink in the armor of the cause. Any abortion that does not happen is momentum lost. It's a political issue. Why do you think they stand outside these halfway houses where women are persuaded to not go to Planned Parenthood and to come in and give birth and put the baby up for adoption? Why is Planned Parenthood, why are leftists standing outside trying to stop women from making that decision? Aside from the money, I mean, Planned Parenthood's getting rich. Daily Caller. Rand challenges press. Ask DNC head if it's okay to kill a 7-pound baby in the uterus. And people go, bravo, bravo. That's the kind of throw it back at him. And he did. And you heard her answer. So forth. I got to take a break here because, once again, my friends, the constraints of time are the only thing that can shut me up. I think Savannah Guthrie's in the running to become the nightly news anchor if Lester Holt is unable to hold on. Look, folks, she's ambitious like all the rest of them. She wants to make news. She's not in there to just help you put cream cheese bagel the right way as you're stumbling in the kitchen as you get ready for work in the morning. Come on. Try this from CNN. Rand Paul says he needs to hold my temper after clashes with media. And here's more from the Washington Post. Rand Paul's problem with female interviewers just cropped up again. That's 3 different takes from the Washington Post, and all of them have to do with Rand Paul's problem with women and the media and his impertinent impoliteness. Dare I say, as they would call it, rudeness. So here we have polling data that shows that Rand Paul has tied Hillary in Iowa. And lo and behold, here comes the Democrat narrative. The GOP's war on women. And Rand Paul rude and impolite to females. All right, to the phones we go. Here is Robert in Jacksonville, Florida. It's great to have you on the program, sir. Hello.
Hey, Rush, long-time listener, first time getting through. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet, sir. Great to have you here.
Thank you. I think Rand Paul has made a big mistake in terms of accepting this premise that he's, quote, thin-skinned. I'm not sure if Wolf Blitzer put it out there, but he definitely mentioned that in an interview with Megyn Kelly. And, he's missing an opportunity to come up there and explain, and show what true leadership is and what strong leadership is versus the current administration.
Well,
and Rush, I'm sorry, and I'll tell you, the liberal media is like, like teenagers. You give an inch, and they're going to, take a country mile.
Yeah, I hear you on the teenager.
And what I see them doing with this is, they're going to keep every chance they can to attack him. They're going to keep doing it.
Well, now here's why. Look, there's a theory. People who are well mannered, people that are raised well and are well mannered. Like I've got a story from yesterday. I didn't get to it. Gosh, I hope I saved it. It's about these people that want Mrs. Clinton called Senator Clinton or Secretary Clinton, not Hillary. And it made me think about, even to this day, I call people who are older than me Mr. and Miss or Mrs. My uncle. I don't call him. I always say Uncle Steve. It's just the way we were raised, sign of respect. I was going to do a whole little riff on that. I'll find it. In the meantime, what the point here is that people that are raised well, bred well, have good manners, have been taught that humility is a personality plus, that's a character plus. And being able to admit your shortcomings is a sign of being well-adjusted. And I'm sure that's all this is. I don't think Rand Paul is trying to persuade the media that he's a nice guy. This is just what people with good manners do. But politics, this is not the place for good manners. The media does. They're not going to be impressed by it. They're going to take advantage of it if they find it. They may not even know what good manners are. I would dare say that in America 2015, the whole notion of manners is out the window. Pop culture being what it is. We're just in one of those cycles where all that stuff, manners and be polite, that's just old-fashioned stuff. It's old hat. Archaic, not hip, and all that. So I think I don't want to read too much into it. When he admits that he's short-tempered, he thinks that he's actually being positive in the sense that he can admit his shortcomings rather than be a braggadocious oaf and deny that premise. So I understand it as someone who was raised well and is well-mannered. I understand it totally. And I'm sure most of you do too. You're just probably saying, well, manners, schmanners when it comes to a political campaign, which is a fight to the death with the drive-by media. Anyway, I appreciate the point, Robert, and the call very much. Here is Claudia in Long Island. Great to have you. I'm glad you waited. You're next.
Hi, Rush. Thank you for taking my call.
You bet.
Being a woman is not a disability. This constant protection infuriates me. I find it very demeaning.
You know, it is kind of contradicting, isn't it? Because on the one hand, with feminism, women are tough, strong, independent. They don't need a man, don't need anybody. And on the other hand, poor Savannah, she was assaulted by Rand Paul, and some male journalists have to come to her defense. And then they say, pregnancy is a disability, pregnancy is a sickness, pregnancy is something. So I have no lack of understanding at all about how women can be confused. But I agree with you. Women are not wallflowers.
Well, they shouldn't be. If they're going to put themselves out there, then, you know, I don't want to really be defended. It makes me look weak. It makes me look incapable. It makes me look like all the things I would not want to look like as I put myself out there. I am out there to do what I do, and I want to look like someone who can do what she does and do it well.
Right.
And the minute someone steps in to defend me, it makes me look like all the things I do not wish to look like.
True, but that's not what this is about. She's gladly sacrificed that for the cause, which is destroying Rand Paul's candidacy. She will gladly allow the perception that he was mean to her and that she needs some of her counterparts and colleagues to come in and speak up for her because he was so mean. That advances the agenda. That's taking one for the team. In private, they all know who Savannah Guthrie is and what she is. Look, Savannah Guthrie is she's a former trial lawyer. Now, most people know that trial lawyers are not insecure and weak. And by the way, she was a trial lawyer for Aiken Gump, which is a huge and prestigious law firm with orifices all over the country. She defended white-collar criminals. So she can defend herself. I'm sure she thinks she doesn't even need to be defended over what happened, but she'll take it because anything to advance the agenda. Take one for the team.